Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Oh boy, coming to you live, live recorded, whatever, whenever you hear this from world famous Waikiki Beach in Hawaii. Yes, I'm on vacation. We're on vacation, but we're not really on vacation because this is what we do. Anyways, so glad you could join us. So glad that you're a part of what we're doing here every day. It's Friday. It's Fun Friday. It's Fantastic Friday. It's Football Friday. It is the last Friday of the football season until next year, which is actually this year, which is kind of a cool thing. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but we're going to come back. We never take a break, just so you know. Football is always going on. There's always stuff to bring to you, and we're going to bring it to you right now. We're going to bring you a preview of the Super Bowl, and this is quite a fascinating Super Bowl to me. And I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be epic and compelling. Both of these teams were massive long shots to actually get to the Super Bowl. You have the AFC, which has been absolutely upturned. I mean, think about it. You have the Kansas City Chiefs. You have the Buffalo Bills. You could argue the Chargers. You could argue the Bengals. You could argue certainly the Denver Broncos. And it felt like the Broncos were the team to actually that we're going to make it. It almost feels like, I don't want to call it a coronation, but having Bo Nix unavailable, I think, really hurt Denver. And of course, the weather was a really challenging situation. Didn't handle it well, and Drake May and Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots did. So it was absolutely fascinating to watch. This is going to be a great Super Bowl. It's a great Super Bowl because both of these teams are, one, I think, very similar, and two, very, it's new, it's raw, it's you just don't know what you're going to get, and it's going to be who can handle the bigness of this game, along with a lot of other things. There's certainly some things I think are key about this game, but you look at this year, it's just been remarkable. It's always about the quarterbacks coming through. It's just weird how it is, and I don't think anyone on their bingo card said Sam Darnold is going to answer the bell, and he has, and that says a lot. It also says a lot for a guy like Drake May, who's new, who's young, and seems to be handling the bigness of these moments, and he's a player that's certainly ready for this. So a lot to unpack here, and we're going to get all of it, but it's just so compelling. The storylines, the intrigue, the interest in all of this is absolutely compelling. You look at just the NFL in general, and you really have to say, it's one returning division winner this year. It's new, and I love that. I mean, a lot of people, maybe they don't, but I do. I love that. I think it, just from a fan base perspective, it gives a whole new dimension and meaning to things, and I think it's, you start creating these new heroes, these new superstars in the NFL. These two quarterbacks, where does their place fit moving forward? Is this going to be some kind of rivalry, or even like a guy like Bo Nix and Drake May? Is Drake May at the beginning? Is he at the start of a rather successful career? Same thing with Bo Nix. I mean, you throw in, all these other guys. I mean, Joe Burrow's not going anywhere. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, there's a lot of really quality quarterbacks in the league in general, and so moving forward, I think there's a lot to be excited about, and I think there's a lot to be excited about with the Super Bowl. I'm really absolutely fascinated by it. Now, both of these teams kind of got there on the same type of mindset, right? They ran the football. That's the foremost thing that they've done. They played great defense, and the quarterbacks were timely, and timely in that. I mean, you could argue that Sam Darnold kind of had a coming out party in the NFC Championship game, but I think it was more of just taking advantage of opportunities. Whenever you can run the football, it just opens so much up, and so you do have that ability to kind of figure out, what actually is, a defense. Because look, Mike Vrabel is built off of the Bill Belichick mindset. They go, Jackson Smith and Jigma is the dude. We're going to stop him. But okay, if you stop him, how do you stop the run? And having that ability, that's what I mean. Having that ability to run the football just opens everything up. And I think it keeps Jackson Smith and Jigma open in the game. I really do. I mean, this guy's, he's proven this throughout the year. You look at the Rams, and they know who the Seahawks are, and they still couldn't stop it. Now, the Rams have been one of the few teams to actually produce points. The Seahawks have been stingy in the point department, and so that's another fascinating part of this. But it's two teams built very similar in a league that's very wide open, in a league that's very pass happy. Quarterbacks kind of rule the day, which is, let's face it, it should be that way. Regardless, this is a different type of Super Bowl. And, I had Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach, on earlier in the week. And by the way, there's a 30 for 30 on ESPN, plugging ESPN right here, about the Philly special. So if you haven't seen that, you should go check it out. It's pretty cool. So knowing Doug and just the whole situation, kind of cool. Anyways, in a league that's pass happy, it's all about the defense. Now, speaking of defenses, you look at the Patriots, and they actually they beat the Chargers, great defense. Houston, amazing defense. Denver, amazing defense. Like they went through the gauntlet, the murderer's row of defenses. And I think a lot of ways that really helps them in this game, because probably the best defense this year has been the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you can argue Houston. I mean, look, all these defenses are exceptional, phenomenal defenses. So I really think that having that experience, having that testing, having that kind of been forged in the fire of some ferocious defenses, and when you play defenses like that, so much of it is you just got to pick your spots. You've got to find opportunities, and you don't lose the football game. And that's kind of where these quarterbacks really are. I think both of these quarterbacks, because really New England's defense has come on late in the year and during the playoffs, and so they're battle tested. They're ready for this. They played in some tough games. They're okay in foreign environments, in rough conditions, and that's just made them a better football team. I think both of these teams are actually very well suited I think they're ready for the moment. I think that's always the question. So often you get one team that shows up and they just go, oh man, we just weren't ready for that. I think of Jared Goff and Sean McVay, and they were like, hey, we it was bigger than we thought, and it was bigger than we were ready for. But I just get a sense, even though Sam Darnold's had kind of an up and down career, you have Drake May, who's new. I really think this game isn't bigger than these guys. I just think they're ready for this. It just feels like it to me. But it's going to be, I think the question, can you rise to the occasion in the biggest of moments, really in your career? And these two quarterbacks, I think, are fascinating. When they've had success, when they've done really well, which they both have throughout the season, it's because they don't turn over the ball. Bill Belichick says one of the greatest things Tom Brady did, he didn't lose games for you. And I really think the quarterback, I think turnovers really, I think it's a big part of this game. Who has the success, who wins, is gonna boil down to these quarterbacks not turning over the ball, which could allude to. And I don't think it's a thing that we've really talked a lot about, but the punting game and field position and of course Seattle's got a great punter. That may be a difference in the game. The special team side of this, field position, making teams go on long drives, forcing them, kind of changing field position. It could be a game like that. You could say that. I think the Patriots are probably going to look at a team like the Rams, and when you have a division opponent you've played 3 times, and you have a defense like Seattle has, and all of a sudden the last time they played, now multiple games, the Rams have really been fairly explosive offensively, and I think the Patriots need to look to the Rams game and say, okay, they know this opponent. Like, they've studied them probably more than anyone has. And I think that might be part of your playbook in how you attack Seattle. We'll see. And because I don't know that it's the strength of who the Patriots are, but maybe they kind of go against the trend and do that. Now, so you got these two quarterbacks, and really it's it's about not turning the ball over, but it's also about one of these guys, one of these quarterbacks in the game is going to be put in. Well, they're both going to be put in these situations, but one of them, and maybe it's both of them, I don't know, but one of them is going to have to make throws. I am telling you, every Super Bowl in the modern era has come down to a quarterback in a tough situation has to make the throws to win. You think of Ben Roethlisberger, and making a throw in a run-heavy team like the Steelers were, or Eli Manning, or Patrick. You can go through the list of all of them, and they've had to make the throws in the tough situation. And defenses are going to force you to do that. That's the NFL. And that's what it's, you can talk about run, scramble, all this. I don't think these are scrambling quarterbacks. I think they're opportunistic quarterbacks, and they'll take a chance on occasion. But these guys are guys that are, I think, for the most part, locked into making throw, and they're going to have to. I mean, these defenses are going to force you to make throws. So it's this fine line. Don't turn over the ball, don't lose the game, but go and win it. And really, it's a bottom line of going and winning it. I was actually watching something, and I've seen it before, and it was Tom Brady going and winning his first Super Bowl, and the coaches Charlie Weiss and Belichick are saying, don't turn the ball over, don't be careful. And Drew Bledsoe, Bledsoe's over there to Tom Brady going, go throw the ball, just go win this game. And that's really what it's going to take. I mean, you're not going to back into winning a Super Bowl. You're going to go out and you're going to win the Super Bowl. These quarterbacks are going to be a big factor into how that actually happens. Now, the coaching situation is fascinating to me. It's absolutely fascinating. The path these two coaches took to get to where they are has been phenomenal. But I think they're two coaches who really understand football, and they understand situations. They understand managing and making the right call in the right situation. There's so much about analytics, but I think these are two coaches, and you see it often in the Super Bowl. There's this intuition, there's this gut feeling of calling a certain play or a certain defense, or there's something that they have prepared themselves for. And I think that's one of the things that why these teams are where they are, is these coaches are excellent in preparing their players, but they're excellent in understanding scenarios, understanding the game and the flow of the game and the right time to make the right call. It's always really fascinating to me when some coaches, that you just go, huh? You scratch your head, and they get in the bigness of a game. They get in this it's almost they overthink it, or the moment kind of catches them, and it's going to be another factor in this game, how well these coaches can use their gut and make the call and do it in the right situation at the right time. I love, I just love, because I think it's such a great example of this, the Philly special, and it's one of those situations where you're like, it wasn't a play that had worked well for the Eagles as they practiced it. It wasn't something that they were just like, okay. And so you have a timeout, and the quarterback comes over, and your quarterback, it's that same intuition, that gut feeling of things. And Nick Foles goes, how about special, that's the name of the play originally, but now it's a Philly special, and you can see Doug Peterson, he's over there, he's looking at his call sheet, and, he's got his reader glasses on, and he's kind of looking up and down, through his reader glasses. And the minute he hears that, you can see inspiration. You can see the gut react. You can see the yes, that is the perfect. Now there's a bunch of coaches on the sideline going, no, that's bad. We practiced this play and it hasn't worked well, and it's been a disaster. And now teams run that play all the time. So a fascinating scenario with that gut intuition, a great example of that. And I can go through, I can give you, these all day long about coaches and those decisions. You think of Malcolm Jenkins or Malcolm Butler in the, the DB for the Patriots, and he missed it early on in the season, the play that he intercepts against Russell Wilson. Of course, this is the last time the Seahawks and the Patriots played, but it was that they're going to run this play. They're going to run this play. You have to be ready to jump the route and get through the screen from the slot receiver, because there's no time. And you saw that, and those are those intuition things. Those are those gut things. Those are really understanding the game. And these two coaches, I think, have it well. And I think the coach that manages that the best is actually going to be the team that wins the game. Now, this is going to be fascinating because there are some holes on this O-line for the Patriots, and that is a concern. And this defensive line, this defense is pretty tough with the Seahawks. So it really is going to be fascinating to see how these teams manage this. And I think in a game like this, so often offensive linemen, they just want to come off the ball. They just want, let's go. Let's just run downhill. Let's get into this. Let's get into the flow of this. And so I would really anticipate you're going to see a lot of establishing the line of scrimmage from both of these teams, and who runs the ball the best, I think is the team. And I think you're going to see it early in the game. And it's probably something you're going to see often in the game, depending on how it goes. There's a side of me that says, this could be this could be a grinded out. And if you love defense kind of game, that certainly is what's going to happen. But I really think that O-line, that D-line for Seattle, O-line for the Patriots, that's going to be one of those really challenging matchups. And I think if you can run the ball in the Patriots, it's probably going to help you in this game. But it's a very stingy defense. It's going to have a big problem in what happens. So kind of how I see it, it's like it always is going to come down to turnovers. It's and this is one of those games where as I talked about earlier, and it's not necessarily just the quarterbacks, it's other positions. It's can you hold on to the football? Can you take care of the football type of thing? And there is I mentioned the punter, and I think the punter's a factor in this, but so is special teams for Seattle. And there's just certain teams that they use special teams as a weapon, and Seattle has that ability to do that. And even if they don't succeed at it, what they do is they force you to kind of take the lesser of two evils. And the lesser of two evils is putting the ball on the 35-yard line every time you have a possession. So it's a great tool to have. It's always a win-win situation. It's not one of those things where it's either or. And that's that. All that is, it's just it's higher probability. It's you're putting the percentages in your favor, which is what you want to do. You want to find the very the most possibilities of actually winning the football game. And to me, of course, with the Patriots, I really believe this. I believe if the Patriots can figure a way how to stop Jackson Smith and Jigma, I really do, because I think it's a comfort level for Sam Darnold. I think it's one of those things where Sam Darnold, if he gets off to a good start, a positive start, a confident start, it just sets the tone for everything. And if he doesn't, it can be a tough day. And I think that's I think you want to get Sam Darnold in his head if you're the Patriots, and that's that's what Bill Belichick did. And of course, Mike Vrabel understands that very well, and that's just that. Now, I don't think anyone's been able to do it this year because it's incredible what Jackson Smith and Jigma has done on a team that's not very efficient, not very effective throwing the football, but when they throw it and throw it well, they throw it to him. They're certainly a run first team. So that's really those big keys. You know, it's about not turning over the ball. It's about who can run the ball, who stops the run better, and then those quarterbacks making those big throws. And that's really what this game is going to boil down to. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. You know, the NFL's in a great spot. There's great storylines. It's compelling. You know, I didn't touch on it this year, but these two, and you know, I talked about these coaches, but man, this league has just got a lot of great young coaches, a lot of great young players. And the Super Bowl is going to be a significant showcase of what this new kind of look in the NFL with coaches and with just how things are moving forward. So this is one of those. You have these games that kind of define a new era, a new movement in the NFL. You know, you saw Patrick Mahomes come along, and that was kind of and you've seen it through time. You know, you have the Miami Dolphins in the early 70s, and then you had the Steelers kind of in the late 70s, and then you had the 49ers and how it just, you know, the game, and then you could say Denver, or not Denver, but Dallas, and then Denver, and later in the decade, and then of course here come the Patriots. But it feels like a new direction, a new dawn of what's happening in the NFL and where it's moving, and we'll see if we like it and it works. So super excited. On Monday, of course, we're going to break it all down, but man, what a fun game to watch, what great storylines to watch, and we'll see what happens in this game. Now for me, I really think I just feel like the Seahawks are a more complete team. I think not that the Patriots aren't, but I think they have the ability to score in a lot of different ways. I think they have a better defense. And I really think Sam Darnold, in answering the moments, is probably better prepared and ready for that. And maybe this game is the one where it might be too much for Drake. Maybe you kind of saw a little shakiness. Who knows? Well, the Super Bowl is a new game, a new season. It's one game. Anyone can win, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. I just think they're going to win. And it's probably somewhere, you know, mid to late 20s to like in the teens. I think that somewhere around there. That's what the game feels like to me. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We've got some NFL news of note, some Hall of Famers. And I think for the most part they got it right, but there might be a few they got wrong. The Down and Dirty will continue to get you all dirty and down here in a minute, so stick around.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty here with Scott Mitchell on the eve. It's the eve of the Super Bowl. It's our last Friday of our fantastic Football Fridays. So glad you could be a part of this all year long. It's not going to change, just so you know. Actually, not much is going to change. The world of sports just continues to move on, and we're going to give you our insight and our take. We're going to get down and dirty with it. So thanks for being a part of our show. Of course, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you're wondering what the background here, it literally is Waikiki. I am in Hawaii, Hawaii. It's Hawaii. That's how the locals say it. The W is a V. Hawaii. We're in Hawaii. It sounds like Princess Bride when the two old people in it. We're in Hawaii. Anyways, so glad you could join the show. I really am, and I'm bringing it to you. Look, I'm on vacation. I'm all in. Just so you know, I'm all in on the down and dirty. We are going to get down and dirty, and then we're going to go jump in the ocean, and we're going to wipe it all off. So, come join me. Hang out in Hawaii. Let's have a good time, and we're having a good time for sure. All right, we've got some NFL news of notes. Of course, it's something we carry to you often because let's face it, the NFL is king, queen. It's the religion of America. It's always happening 24/7, 365. There's always stuff going on in the NFL. Nothing bigger, I think, right at this moment. Of course, the Super Bowl is going on, but they have NFL honors, and the honors came in. And, there's a few things that aren't a surprise. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft were not voted in as Hall of Famers. The new class, of course, has been voted in. Drew Brees, that's a no-brainer. Larry Fitzgerald, of course, is a no-brainer. Roger Craig from the senior committee, or whatever like classification that fiasco is in. Adam Vinatieri and Luke Kuechly are this year's class. Of course, oh boy, I think the question always is, and I don't know why it's this way, but you always go, did this guy really deserve to get in? And you're just like, and then there's some guys like, well, absolutely no-brainers here. I want to start, we'll just start with all of them. And I don't know how Zach has them lined up here, but let's start with Drew Brees. Do we have Drew Brees? Yes, our lovely Drew Brees. I'll just tell you something. I think Drew Brees, like the class with which he played the game, the consistency with which he played the game. I mean, you talk about someone who really understood throwing the football, and there were a couple of absolutely impressive things that I witnessed from Drew Brees. One was having this rather significant shoulder injury when he was with the San Diego Chargers. And it's on his throwing arm, and you're like, woo, that's tough. And it's tough because I had an injury on my throwing arm, and man, it really had a significant impact on me for a period of time. And so to see him bounce back from that, but then he goes to New Orleans, and man, why would you ever want to go to New Orleans and play football? I mean, no offense, but the history says they're just not a very good team, and they haven't been a good team. And what does he do? He goes there and he's like, yep, I'm going to win a Super Bowl. And he does. And he does at the most opportune time, right around Hurricane Katrina. The city had been devastated. I witnessed Hurricane Katrina up close, and its devastation was horrible. And it does. And it really kind of beats you down, and it really plays into the psyche of a whole community. And to go to a place very unlikely to win a Super Bowl, and he does. And I was just one of those massively impressive things to witness. Of course, they beat the Colts, and they did it on a surprise onside kick, changed the whole momentum of the game. And it's really one of those situations where, it's that coach and that intuition, and it was just in the right time, right moment. But Drew Brees winning a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints, what an impressive feat. I mean, that alone should just put you in the Hall of Fame. I don't care. It's just like, you need to go, buddy. Of course, he couldn't repeat it, which should tell you how hard it is to actually win Super Bowls. But he has this just historic and consistent, and you almost just like, You need a break for the records and the yards and all of it. But here's the thing to me that I think really sets it apart as much as anything, and that is his handling of his career. And I think he gave out it was around 270 of these footballs, and they were to teammates, and they were to coaches, and they were to mentors and teachers and family and friends and all these different people. And his grace in success and his humility and his appreciation was, I think, unprecedented. I think so many players are so wrapped up, and yes, they're like grateful and thankful for all the people, but so many of them are like, man, I did it. It was me. And we all have our egos and all that stuff. But in that biggest moment in celebrating his career, he was, I think, the most gracious I've seen someone in recognizing all of the people that had a massive impact on him having the success he did. And those three things right there really have stuck out to me about a guy like Drew Brees. I mean, just a massively talented guy and prolific. And certainly he's a no-brainer, first ballot Hall of Famer. And for some reason, we think that's important for certain people, but for other people, we don't. Now, the next one, Larry Fitzgerald. Wow, this is a guy like it's almost one of these prototypical type of guys you want to put in. Larry Fitzgerald was just the level of consistency, played with one team, and he's second all time to Jerry Rice. It's kind of one of those, how do you not get in the Hall of Fame if the only guy in front of you is Jerry Rice? And you could see this from Larry Fitzgerald, and there was just this relentless pursuit of excellence. And I think that's one of those things that really often sets apart Hall of Famers is the talent, the ability, and certainly the willingness to just constantly get better and to be coachable and to excel at something. And this guy just had a motor like nobody else, was just an incredible guy. Now, the next one to me is Adam Vinatieri. And Adam, we kind of joke about kickers and, are they really football players? And I'm just telling you, if I'm starting a football team, Adam Vinatieri might be one of the top 5 guys I pick up. Having, especially in the NFL where games are so close, a really good, reliable, consistent kicker is worth its weight in gold. Bill Belichick talked about the kick that they made in the tuck rule against the Raiders, and was, in his opinion, the very best kick in the NFL in its entire history. And I would absolutely 1,000% agree with that. I really would. I mean, this guy had ice in his veins, and maybe that's why he kicked in well in bad weather. Who knows? But this just consistent level of greatness, and just had more phenomenal big kicks in his career. And now he sat a year and waited, which I didn't think should have been the case. I think as far as kickers go along, he's absolutely at the top of my list. And you think about building a foundational team, and you certainly don't think about a kicker as one of those people. But Adam Vinatieri shows up. I'm picking that guy on my team without any question. Now, Luke Kuechly, of course, made it in as well. Was just so many people. I mean, you talk about today. This theme is about intuition and just kind of this gut feeling and playing the game and understanding the game. And I think Luke is one of those guys that, epitomizes that, just really understood what was happening, what teams were doing. And it was just an extremely gifted and talented, and, a guy that just really could kind of do it all. He could stop the run. He could cover in a pass situation. He's one of those, I think, complete players. Now, He only played 8 seasons, but they were 8 very, very impactful seasons. And he was a player that, just I think linebackers kind of hard to stand out sometimes, it's hard sometimes to really fully understand and appreciate the impact of a player. But Luke certainly is a guy that did that. And I think some people, this whole thing about length of career, I think it's a tough thing for me. It's a little tough for me with Luke. It really is. I appreciate the game and all that stuff, but it just you go down a slope where you just go, well, there's a lot of players that kind of do that. But again, I don't think he's not a Hall of Famer. I just think it's, it's one of those you go, yeah, okay. The ones before I'm like absolutely 100%. Now, the next one is Roger Craig. And Roger Craig is, of course, on the senior circuit. And there was a lot of controversy because he's looped in with Kraft and Belichick and other senior candidates, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And this one's a hard one for me, and it's a hard. And I love Roger Craig, and I think he was, if you talk to Bill Walsh, he's like, this guy was a significant factor in the success we had as an organization, and I agree with that. But I think if you look at the 49ers in that era, you go, yeah, Roger Craig, yeah, that's good, but they weren't known. And yes, I mean, he was a multi-purpose guy, right? He was a Christian McCaffrey guy. But I think if you ask me who's better, Christian McCaffrey and Roger Craig, I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's a similar type of player where you get production. He's not just a running back, and he's not just a receiver. He's that hybrid player, which I like. But I think it for some reason it just doesn't feel Hall of Fame-ish to me. And you look at you look at the effectiveness. Let's just take the Dallas Cowboys if you want to take the triplets, right? So you have Irving, Michael Irving, you have Emmitt Smith, you have Troy Aikman, and everyone goes, yeah, they're all Hall of Fame-ish. And when you look at the 49ers, I don't think you look at it the same, like the triplets. I don't think you go, oh, yeah, Roger Craig. I think there's a lot of guys you might be able to plug into where Roger Craig was and have that success. And I hate to say this, but we bring it down and dirty. And I think there's, I don't know that I don't get the sense that if the 49ers don't have Roger Craig, I still think Joe Montana is great. I still think the 49ers win all the Super Bowls. And but Jerry Rice is part of that, and it's Montana and Rice and a cast of other characters who are really good, and they make up this great team. But are they Hall of Fame worthy? Because Roger Craig's been around a long time without getting in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's the debate, and I think it's really hard, and it's almost one of those situations where it's almost a sympathy vote, and so. Because people said it. They said, I voted for some of these guys because I didn't think they'd get in. And so is it really, really Hall of Fame worthy? I'm not so sure. I'm really not. And I know every 49er fan out in the world is screaming and throwing bricks at whatever, but it's debatable. And I think that's the challenge. Hall of Famers to me should not be debatable. It shouldn't even be. It should be absolutely without any question, any reservation whatsoever. This person is in the Hall of Fame. All right, let's see here. We do have some other NFL news. Well, Robert Kraft, of course, did not get in. Some other guys did not get in. And of course, that's kind of the way things go. They go, well, what's next year's class like? And it's got some great names in it. Some people that more than likely are going to be in the Hall of Fame. But I start to feel and I start to worry about Eli Manning. And again, I guess it's that debatable thing. I don't see how. I mean, I think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. I just do, and I think but it seems like he's going to go down the road of not making it into the Hall of Fame. Now, there were some other awards. Matthew Stafford in a 3-vote race barely outlasts Drake May for MVP. And MVP is that's the thing. It really is. I'm a little surprised it's actually Matthew Stafford's first MVP. I love Matthew Stafford's career, and it was literally a first half and a second half, and that first half was just Detroit and tough, but effective. He was prolific there, and just really has grown into this tough finishing type of player. Had a phenomenal year, and was very close again, and has said that he's coming back for another season. So I think that's exciting for everyone, because I just think Matthew Stafford is about as talented as they get. Now, how hard is it to come back and win a Super Bowl, and after you've kind of had that, late season loss? A lot of teams, they find it as motivation, and usually they're younger teams. I think you get older like Matthew Stafford, and I just think it's harder to go through the grind of a season, and he's had some injuries, and I just think it's a little challenging to make it. Of course, you have Mike Vrabel was the coach of the year. I don't know how you pick a guy. I really don't. I seriously do not know how you pick a guy. Maybe it's a little bit more impressive that he goes with a young quarterback and wins in the fashion that they did. Mike McDonald has just done a tremendous job in Seattle. I don't know how you don't give it to Ben Johnson. I don't know how Liam Cohen. You can go on and on. But what I do like, I like that there's a lot of really good coaches in the NFL. It's like, this is the new generation. This is the new feel of what coaches look like. And it's a good one. And these coaches they're sharp, they're innovative, they're impressive, and they understand and they get the game right. And I love that. And you mix that in with some of these older guys like Sean Payton and Andy Reid and some of these guys, and it's a lot of quality coaches in the NFL. Having a conversation with Doug Peterson, former coach, and we were talking about putting staffs together. And part of the strategy is to get some of these young coaches in. You put them in a quality control and an analyst position, and you really educate them and you mentor them, and just like you do with young players. And I think that's one of these things that is maybe the fruition of a lot of that strategy. A lot of these coaches have been mentored well, and they seem to rise to the occasion when they have the opportunity. Now, there's a lot of strategy that goes into where these coaches go, and so picking the right organization, the right team, the right scenario is, I think, something to say about the success a lot of these teams are having, which is why I think the Bears situation might be one of the more challenging ones. And so I could certainly see why Ben Johnson would be that guy. Christian McCaffrey, of course, is the offensive player of the year. Jackson Smith and Jigma, same thing. Is that right? Did I get that right? The rookies of the year is Teteroa McMillan and Carson Swessinger with Cleveland. Of course, the defensive player of the year is Myles Garrett. Teteroa McMillan, man, I'm telling you, this dude is a talent. I watched him at Arizona, and I think he, same thing. I watched Jackson Smith and Jigma, but a lot of young, really talented guys coming up in the NFL. And of course, Sonny Jurgensen died at the age of 91. And Sonny Jurgensen is quite a character, and he was a heck of a football player. And they had Sonny Jurgensen and Sam Huff. And they had this and they were just great. They were one guy was an offense guy, one guy was a defensive guy. They never agreed on anything. And it was awesome. And it was great to be a part of. Sonny Jurgensen will definitely be missed. A long, very successful life. And, of course, our condolences go to his family and really to the NFL. And these are those characters. These are the personalities. This is the thing that really built the greatness of the NFL. Sonny Jurgensen was certainly one of them, and I mean, he could throw it with the best of them. So some great stuff going on in the NFL, and of course we're gonna catch it all, and then we just start winding up for next year. So I'm not disappointed about the end. Of course, it's a new beginning. You're going to get games in Rio. You're going to get games in Madrid. You got NFL games all over the place. It's a U.S. invasion of the world as it relates to NFL football, and can't wait to watch it unfold. All right, we'll take another break here. We come back. I got this question about all these old guys like me, right? And we go back in the day, and when and I do it this way and I do it that way, and really, has the game changed, or is it just the same? We'll answer that when the Down and Dirty returns right here from Waikiki Beach in Hawaii.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty right here from none other than Waikiki Beach in Honolulu, Hawaii. World famous. You can hear planes, you can hear beach, you can see palm trees, and it is gorgeous and it is wonderful. We are on vacation, but we're never on vacation. We bring it to you anywhere and anytime, and that's my commitment. So hope you enjoy the show. I'm enjoying Hawaii. I'm not going to lie. It has been phenomenal. I got a little color on my face. So you know what? That means I'm doing it right or wrong. It depends on all you skin cancer people out there. I shouldn't joke about this. I probably have skin. I need to go to a dermatologist. That's what I need to do. Anyways, there's this question that came up, and I think it's fascinating. A few weeks ago, I had Tom Moore, who was he's a long time, 48 years as an NFL assistant coach, one of the greatest minds ever in the NFL as it relates to offensive football. And he kind of jokingly said, my number 2 pencil no longer can outpace the analytics of a computer. I got all these young 35-year-old guys that certainly don't want to listen to anything I have to say. And you hear, in talking to Doug Peterson and talking about how much they use analytics today and how that's really driven a lot of coaches and how they call games, how they approach things, how they teach the game. But he also said the analytics can only take you so far, and there's just things that it can't understand. So, in thinking about the game now I'm very involved in the game. I watch the game. I understand the game very well. I actually, for the last 9 years, have called Utah football games. So watched a lot of these quarterbacks, a lot of these players in the NFL today, watched them very closely through their college careers and just saw a lot of, and in college football and professional football is different, but they're kind of becoming the same. And the question is the game different? Is it, with us old guys going, well, back when we used to do it this way. And of course, Doug said, that's not how it works anymore. Like old school stuff doesn't really work. And I kind of disagree. It's not even I kind of disagree. I actually 100% agree. And I think what is the same about football, and I don't think it ever changes. I think if you break football down to its essence, it's always about blocking and tackling. Whoever does that better is the team that wins. And the teams that and what I see that maybe isn't as good is I don't know across the board if the players are as disciplined or committed to really, really understanding their craft. And you just kind of see, there's some laziness that kind of creeps in to a lot of teams. And I think the teams that do those fundamental things better than other teams are the ones that, do the best. And I think it's a little bit harder to do some of that because where I think the game is different is in the physicalness of how you practice and how you prepare. And so you're limited in your ability to work on some of these fundamental things where in the past, it became a very foundational part of how you did things. So I think even the most common thing that never changes, blocking and tackling, I think in some regards actually takes a back step. And you look at kind of some of the techniques that are used and taught, and I don't know that it's completely different. I think of how offensive linemen were required in the past, how they had to hold their hands and how they had to block people. I think was very different. But I think fundamentally, it's the teams that do the blocking and tackling. Of course, that to me is still a part of the game that I think has never, and I don't think it ever will. I think the only way it changes is when they go to flag football, and I sure hope that it doesn't, because the rules of how you practice, the rules of how you play in the game, have made it completely different than how it was, and so it opens up a lot of new things, and so you could argue, well, the game's different because of the rules, and you take advantage of how the rules have changed. And I don't think that's different than the past. I think it's the same thing. It's like, how do you use, so using the rules to your advantage is not something new, something elevated. There's other things like, I watch these back shoulder throws. Everyone throws a 50-50 ball now. And it's just it's such a common part of football. And that's not different. I mean, when I was doing that back in the mid-90s, that's not a different thing. In fact, I don't think many teams teach it very well. I think there's a certain way, and I've talked to Herman more about this on, the show and what it is. And he goes, when I understood the back shoulder throw, which was I'm trying to beat my guy off the line of scrimmage on a go route. That's my job. I'm going 100%. And I know that the ball is going to be wherever I am. So if I beat the guy, the ball's going over the top. If I don't beat the guy, expect the ball high into the outside, underthrown. You're just throwing it away from wherever the defender is. It's not that complicated. But the whole key to it is how you run the route. And I don't think and they just, people make it really hard, or because let's face it. Here's another thing, Martin. And I'm sorry that I'm taking all the time here, and you're very patiently listening.
You're good. No hate.
But I think another thing that is the same is everyone steals stuff from everyone else. Like, that's not any different. Like someone and so you see concepts, you see ideas, and really what it is someone played, or they sat and watched film and they just go, hey, let's try this. And then they tried it and go, oh, wow, that works. And then everyone else goes, look at what they're doing. And they go like, wow, we like that. Let's implement what they're doing. And so copying, stealing, it's like copy paste into your situation. That's not new. Just so you know, that's not different. The concepts might be a little different, but it's not different. It's fascinating how this league just kind of opened up for a while, and how offense and quarterbacks and throwing and wide receivers were, man, you got to get. And now it's two defensive minded teams are in the Super Bowl, and so there's always this flow and ebb in football, but it's not something that's even any different. So, Martin, is the game the same? Is it different? And do you even like football?
Oh, I love football. It's my favorite sport. The Super Bowl is my favorite, one of my favorite events of the year, right next to the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 are some of my two favorite events. But I think the game has changed in the sense of like rules, instant replay, the coverage. People aren't playing cover heavy one anymore. People are playing cover 4, cover 6, quarters defense, scheme wise. But the game, I agree with you, is still the same. It's about blocking, it's about tackling, it's about completing passes, finding the open lanes, running the ball. Like none of that has changed. It doesn't matter if you're a heavy West Coast team or run a balanced offense or an East Coast style, which is more run than pass. As long as you find the right type of players to adapt to your system and run it the way you want it, the game is still the same as it was back in the 30s when people were lining up in the triple V option and quarterbacks were throwing for 1,000 yards a season. The only difference is now we're throwing for 6,000 yards or 5,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. It's just the numbers are different. That's it.
It boils down to football. It really does. I'm one of those people that firmly believes the more it changes, the more it stays the same. And yes, there are advances, and yes, there are rule changes and all these things, but it's still the game of football, and I'm so glad for that. I really am. Well, let me tell you something. My butt's sore. I'm tired of sitting here. I'm out, dude. I'm going to the beach. That's what I'm doing. I hope you all have a fun weekend. Watch the Super Bowl. We'll come back on Monday and we'll cover all of the greatness that happened. And believe it or not, I will still be here. And I know I'm watching the Super Bowl it's like if you're going to go watch the Super Bowl, go watch it somewhere fun. I figured Hawaii. So that's what I'm doing. We'll wrap it up, or we'll unwrap it next Monday. So y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Again, like and subscribe, do all that stuff. And thank you. We're growing by leaps and bounds. So this is fun. All right. Until then, we'll see you then.